Welcome to the Peace First Digital Mentor Training. Thank you for your interest in supporting young people as they complete the Peace First Challenge. This is the first of 4 lessons in the Peace First Digital Mentor Training. In this lesson, we aim to give you a clear picture of your role and responsibility in the Peace First community. We will explore Peace First, its view of peacemaking, its history, and its goal and vision. We will also define peacemaking and the peacemaking process. We will discuss the 5 steps of a peacemaking project. We will end the lesson with a look through the peacemaking tools and the way those tools will help you support your mentees. Following the lesson, you will find 3 discussion activities to expand your understanding of the community, the Peace First Challenge, and peacemaking tools. As we begin our time together learning about Peace First, peacemaking, the challenge, mentoring, and youth development, we encourage all participants to introduce themselves to the group. When youth join the Peace First community, we ask them to think about their superpowers, things they are really good at. To begin your journey with Peace First, we ask you the same question. What is your superpower? As you consider this question and answer it, feel free to include other facts. What are your interests? Where are you from? Peace First is a community. Likewise, Peace First Digital Mentor Training is a community too. In order for our training to be productive, we need to be comfortable sharing and discussing ideas. Help create a functional community by participating in all discussions. I will start. My name is Rachel and my superpower is writing. I'm good with words and I'm a stickler for proper grammar and clean syntax. I'm from Michigan, but I live in New Orleans. I'm interested in education equity and affordable housing. I'm also always good for a chat about hockey, and I love making travel recommendations. Peace First was founded over 20 years ago by a group of Harvard undergraduates who were interested in teaching young people the skills to help solve some of society's biggest problems. Peace First quickly blossomed into a classroom-based curriculum designed for students from pre-K through 8th grade. The curriculum focused on teaching peacemaking skills, equipping students to resolve conflicts, problem-solve critically, and address injustices. Peace First curriculum was first used in Boston, New York City, and Los Angeles schools. It was so well received that the organization made it available online, and it's now used in all 50 states and over 80 countries. Following the success of the curriculum, Peace First decided to launch a new initiative. The Peace First Prize began as a Nobel Peace Prize for young people and sought to recognize young people using their creativity to solve moral dilemmas and injustices that they saw in their everyday lives. The Peace First Prize recognized exemplary young people who were already affecting change in their communities, and through recognizing these young people, Peace First heard the stories of thousands of other young people taking action. With numbers like that, we knew that there was an even larger group of young people awaiting mobilization and an opportunity to put their ideas into action too. The Peace First Prize formed the foundation of the Peace First Challenge, a call to action for young people between the ages of 13 and 24 to identify injustices in their communities and think of viable solutions to address those injustices. When they accept the challenge, they pledge to use peacemaking skills to address injustices present in their communities, their nations, and their world. The purpose of this training is to deepen your understanding of peacemaking and the Peace First Challenge. The best place to start when learning about peacemaking is the Peace First Manifesto. It reads, "The world is a harsh place. People are treated unfairly. People are scared. People get hurt. This matters because people matter. All people. I know I can't be perfect. I know I cannot fix everything, but I can make a choice. I can choose to be a peacemaker, and I commit to making this choice every day." The young people who accept the Peace First Challenge make this pledge, and as potential mentors to those young people, it's important for you to make the pledge as well. The Peacemaking Challenge calls upon peacemakers to solve an injustice using peacemaking skills. This training will delve deep into those skills, but an easy introduction involves the 3 C's: compassion, courage, and collaboration. Peacemakers show compassion by understanding and caring about other people. Peacemakers show courage by taking risks to help others. Peacemakers show collaboration by working with others to create change in a school or community. Peacemaking is not marked by the size or scale of an injustice, nor by the size or scale of the project that will confront that injustice. Peacemaking is marked by a commitment to compassion, courage, and collaboration, to peacemaking. As a Peace First mentor, it's important to model the 3 C's to youth, both as they interact in their project groups and as they take their solutions into their communities. The peacemaking journey is not a straight line, nor is it a closed-circuit racetrack. It's an endless journey with many stops, starts, turns, exits, and entrances. Peacemaking is a lifelong, everyday commitment. You model peacemaking behavior in the way you treat and talk to people, how you react to disappointments and difficulties, and how you celebrate success. That being said, when associated with the Peace First Challenge, the peacemaking journey tends to follow a common path. In order to be an effective mentor for youth completing the Peace First Challenge, you have to understand and appreciate peacemaking projects. A peacemaking project is the external manifestation of a young person's peacemaking journey. There are 5 steps involved in a peacemaking project. Step 1, choose. Step 2, understand. Step 3, plan. Step 4, act. And step 5, reflect. We will define each step and follow the journey of a peacemaker named Matthew. Once again, as we discuss these steps, it's important to remember that peacemaking is not a hard, linear journey. Different peacemakers progress through different steps at different paces. Youth in your group may repeat steps. They may spend much longer on one step than on another. The peacemaking steps are not meant to be viewed as a recipe where ingredients are added in a specific and important order. Peacemaking steps more closely resemble a toolbox, a resource where peacemakers can pick and choose the most relevant steps at any given time. The first step in a peacemaking journey is to choose an injustice. What is a problem you really care about? Choosing is an important step. The peacemaking journey is grounded in reality. One person cannot take on every single injustice. The youth you work with will have narrowed down their focus to one injustice. Take a moment to think of an injustice in your community or a cause that speaks to you. If you can't think of an injustice right now, do not fret. Later in this lesson, we will continue brainstorming. As you work with youth who are choosing an injustice, keep in mind the differences between an injustice and an inconvenience. An inconvenience is a short-term irritation. It's typically circumstantial. It's not generally related to a person's specific culture, ideology, political affiliation, religion, nationality, race, or sexual orientation. It's usually the result of external or natural forces. On the other hand, an injustice causes long-standing or permanent harm to an individual or group. Injustices occur when people are targeted for hate or harm based on their culture, ideology, political affiliation, religion, nationality, race, or sexual orientation. Injustices are intentional and sometimes calculated. When things are annoying, like heavy traffic or a slow-moving line, it's easy to think that the world is conspiring against us. However, frustration is not a dead giveaway for injustice, and sometimes things are not unjust, they are just inconvenient. Consider a school dress code. If the dress code applies to everyone, across all groups and labels, it is an inconvenience, assuming you'd prefer to wear casual clothes. However, if the dress code targets one particular group, only girls are reprimanded for breaking the dress code, or a religious minority's practices are affected by the regulations, then it becomes an injustice. We'll now take a minute to hear from a current peacemaker about his peacemaking journey.
My name is Matthew Kaplan. I'm 19 years old from Phoenix, Arizona. The injustice that I'm working on is anti-bullying. When my younger brother Josh was the victim of cyberbullying at our middle school, that's sort of when I realized that this is an issue, not just for him, but for kids all around the country. When he was getting text messages and emails from his classmates, telling him that he was worthless, that he didn't matter, that really hurt him, and it shook his confidence. And seeing someone that I was so close with in pain made me feel so bad. And so that's when I realized that I had to do something, that if somebody wouldn't do anything about it, that person had to be me.
The second step on the peacemaking journey asks you to understand the injustice you choose. What is at the root of this problem you care about, and how can you imagine a compassionate solution? In order to understand an injustice, it is vital to understand how the injustice affects people, and not just the obvious people. Having a compassionate insight is what turns a service project into a peacemaking project. It's the heart of a peacemaking solution. We will continue with Matthew's peacemaking journey, but here's an example of one young person's compassionate insight and the way it affected their peacemaking solution. One of the first recipients of the Peace First Prize was a young man named Babatunde Salam from Baltimore, Maryland, who wanted to address police hostility in his community. In this short video, Babatunde discusses how his compassionate insight came about.
Many young people that I was in an after-school program with together, we noticed a policy and enforcement that involved a lot of racial profiling, harassment, and/or violence. We wanted to do something about it, so we went about the process of creating a video that evolved into a film on how to resolve tensions and racial profiling in the black community in Baltimore. So then we did trainings with police officers, basically 2/3 of the Baltimore City Police Department, in which we did monthly trainings that involved simulations and really role-playing to get officers to think about what does it mean to be young and black in Baltimore, and how do you become an asset to these communities rather than being a force of repression and violence. We felt like we were being able to initiate some of that change, and that we first just had frustrations with. Peace First has just allowed us to elevate the conversation of what is systemic racism in the police department to really seeing that yes, this is a fact. We're training young people in how to take initiative and learn skills that will be instrumental in their careers and their personal lives as far as learning from one another and making the changes they want to see.
What helped Matthew understand the cause of bullying?
My name is Matthew Kaplan. I'm 19 years old from Phoenix, Arizona. The injustice that I'm working on is anti-bullying. I found my solution by listening to parents, teachers, other middle schoolers. As a middle schooler, I had my own experiences, but I wanted to understand what the issues that middle schoolers were facing. So when we're talking about bullying, a lot of times we think of a bad person. And what I found is that when we're talking to parents, parents never think that their kids are bad kids. And administrators also don't think that the kids at their school are bad kids. So what I decided was that rather than focusing on anti-bullying, I was going to talk about community building. And in doing that, I'm able to get the perspective of parents, administrators, teachers, and students all together, because we're all a part of the community. In some ways, we're all part of the problem, but we can all be a part of the solution, and we have to do that together. My insight was that we think about bullying in a completely wrong way. When we think about bullying, we think of a bad person. But bullying isn't about bad people, it's actually just bad behaviors. And those are behaviors that can change.
The third step in the peacemaking journey is to plan. You can help your young person or group of young people turn their insight into action by breaking down their solutions into concrete steps on a clear timeline. Remind them to embrace collaboration. Who else in their community can help them face this injustice? Who else is already working to address it? Let's hear how Matthew planned to address bullying.
My name is Matthew Kaplan. I'm 19 years old from Phoenix, Arizona. The injustice that I'm working on is anti-bullying. When my younger brother Josh was the victim of cyberbullying at our middle school, that's sort of when I realized that this is an issue, not just for him, but for kids all around the country. The summer of my 9th grade year, I felt like I was equipped with a plan. I knew what I was going to do, and I had an idea of how I was going to address the issue. And the first program that I did was actually with my younger brother's middle school class. He was the one being bullied, and so I wanted to try and help the kids in his classroom. And what I realized is that there was something magical there about the way the program helps kids open up, talk about themselves. And from there, I, thanks to the help of some teachers and administrators, was able to scale the program from just his class to the entire school. And now we're in schools across Arizona.
In step 4, we act. How will the youth you work with get started, and what happens when they hit bumps in the road? How did Matthew act to address bullying?
My name is Matthew Kaplan. I'm 19 years old from Phoenix, Arizona. The injustice that I'm working on is anti-bullying. The moment that I realized that there was potential for this idea is when I saw my younger brother receiving an apology from the kids that were bullying him. And seeing him get an apology that he hoped for so long was really powerful. And I realized that there's something about the program that encourages kids to apologize to one another and to accept apologies and to build friendships and to build bridges. And that's the power of the Be One Project.
The fifth and typically final step on the peacemaking journey, we reflect. Reflection is important for young people completing peacemaking projects. It can be especially powerful when their project is formally complete. However, it can also be extremely useful throughout the project. Encourage young people to reflect often on the steps they are taking and the solutions they are creating. How are they making the world a different place through their peacemaking work? Reflection was useful for Matthew.
My name is Matthew Kaplan. I'm 19 years old from Phoenix, Arizona. The injustice that I'm working on is anti-bullying. What I learned is that I shouldn't be afraid to take the first step. Back in middle school, I was really afraid that people were going to judge me for my ideas, that they were going to shoot me down, and I was worried that it wouldn't work. But I think that my fear of failure for so long kept me from pushing the boundaries of what I thought was possible. And so if I had just taken that first step earlier on, I could only imagine where I might be. And so had I not been afraid that my ideas would be judged or that I would fail, I think I would have been able to get a lot farther. Taking that first step is so important.
As the youth you mentor accept the Peace First Challenge and complete a peacemaking journey, there are Peace First tools to help them along the way. The toolkit is split into groups based on the peacemaking steps. However, like the steps, any tool can be used at any given time. Your group may find an ACT tool is useful in the understand stage. It's unlikely that you'll use every available tool, but we will spend time now going through each tool in order to familiarize you with the resources at your disposal. 3 of the Choose Peacemaking tools focus on identifying strengths and encouraging group unity. Each tool comes with handouts and instructions and is available within this course and through the Peace First website. The Personal Development tool will help your mentees explore their journeys as individuals committed to peace within the world and reflect upon certain key characteristics of peacemaking that include compassion, courage, and collaboration. Personal Development. With this tool, your mentees will explore their journeys as individuals committed to peace in the world and reflect upon certain key characteristics of peacemaking that include compassion, courage, and collaboration. Team Effectiveness. With this tool, your mentees will explore the characteristics of team effectiveness by asking a series of questions. The group will also create some group norms that will help them with the work they will do as a team throughout the peacemaking process. Your mentees will not need to use this tool if they are working on a peacemaking project as an individual. Issues and assets. With this tool, as an individual or as a team, your young people will gather data about various issues and assets within their community and/or school by thinking about things that upset them and the things that they are proud of. To reiterate a point made earlier in this training, it's important to keep youth focused on injustices, not inconveniences. One Choose tool will help you do that. With injustice versus inconvenience, your mentees will focus on the differences between an injustice and an inconvenience. They will identify specific problems in their school or community and categorize them accordingly. The final Choose tool could be one of the most important. With choosing an injustice, your mentees will choose one injustice that will be the primary focus of their peacemaking project. There are 4 peacemaking tools for the Understand step. Talking to others. As an individual or with their team, youth will gather information via research and conversation about how others view the injustice at the heart of their project. Problem and solution trees. With this tool, as an individual or with their team, youth will explore the causes and consequences of the injustice they've chosen for their project. On the screen, we see a picture of the worksheet that accompanies this activity. The leaves and branches of the tree bear the consequences of actions and causes taking place in the roots. In the activity Imagining a Desired Alternative, youth will continue working on a desired alternative for their chosen injustice, and they will assess what barriers and challenges currently prevent that possible alternative from becoming a reality. Compassionate insights round out the Understand tools. With this tool, as an individual or with the team, youth will decide how to best overcome the injustice at the heart of their peacemaking project by using compassion as their primary tool. Youth will explore the feelings of those affected by the injustice, as well as the people who are creating it. The picture on the screen is an example of a compassionate insight. The plan tools begin with developing SMART goals. As an individual or with the team, youth will build upon the compassionate insights discovered in the Understand tools to develop SMART goals that will help add structure to their plan. SMART goals are S, specific, M, measurable, A, attainable, R, relevant, and T, time-bound. The next tool, Head, Heart, Hands, and Feet, will enable your mentees to use a simple framework to brainstorm ideas that will help them better plan their project. For that brainstorming, they will use a diagram of the human body, an example worksheet is shown on the screen, concentrating on its head, heart, hands, and feet as they reflect on different elements that are important for their project. In the Planning and Budgeting tool, youth will take the work done in the head, heart, hands, and feet diagram to build a cohesive plan and budget. They will be able to use their budget to submit a request for a mini-grant to Peace First or to other organizations or individuals who could support their work. As you introduce the plan tools to your group and help them develop concrete portions of their peacemaking journey, it will be important to talk to the youth about risk management. The Reducing Risk tool allows you to explore how everyone can continue to prioritize safety with a simple risk management plan. Youth will brainstorm ways to show courage around identified risks and steps the group can take to reduce exposure to those risks. There are only 2 official ACT tools. However, tools from other steps will be applicable here as well. The first tool is called Track Your Progress, and it aims to help youth explore the importance of tracking progress as a way of measuring where they've been, where the team is currently in regards to their chosen injustice, and where they are headed. Use this tool once the group completes a few of the initial steps from the head, heart, hands, and feet diagram. Continue using it as they move forward in the direction of their desired future state. Pictured is a table to help youth track their progress and an example table. The second and final ACT tool is called Staying Safe, and it relies on the risk management plan your mentees created using the plan tools. During Staying Safe, your mentees will assess and update their risk management plan to ensure that everyone continues to stay safe. Safety is an important part of the peacemaking journey. At any point in the peacemaking process, mentees can address significant risks that have or may occur. Reflection is an important part of every process. When reflecting on the peacemaking journey, it's important to reflect as an individual and as a team. In the individual reflection, mentees will reflect upon their personal peacemaking process by considering any changes that they have experienced throughout their journey. It will also enable youth to share what they have learned with others to continue creating and expanding a culture of peace within and beyond their community. The Team Reflection tool allows time for your mentees to discuss the peacemaking journey as a group by considering any changes members experienced throughout the peacemaking process. Similarly to the individual reflection, your mentees can continue to discuss ways to expand a culture of peace within and beyond their community. The other 2 Reflect tools involve celebration and spreading the word. In celebrating your success, as an individual or with their team, youth will complete their peacemaking journey by celebrating their achievements. Celebration and thanks gives youth the profound experience of expressing their gratitude and appreciation for the people who participated in their project along the way, as well as solidifying the positive culture of peace and gratitude your team has worked so hard to create. To celebrate your success, make a list of the people, friends, family, and mentors, and collaborators who contributed to your project. Plan a simple event to celebrate the project and invite the people who participated in the peacemaking process. Be sure that the invitation clearly explains the purpose of the event, to express gratitude for their participation in the project and celebrate the project's completion. Acknowledge their support in being part of a solution rooted in compassion, which has helped everyone cross lines of difference. The Telling Your Story tool enables youth and their team to share the story of their peacemaking journey so that other teams can learn from their experiences, triumphs, and challenges. Telling your story will powerfully contribute to the creation of more effective projects, and in this way, your mentees will continue to grow and expand a culture of peace, compassion, and collaboration. Whew! We have covered a lot of information in this presentation. You learned about the early days of Peace First, from the curriculum to the Peace First Prize to the current Peace First Challenge. We discussed the 3 C's, compassion, courage, and collaboration. We discussed how the 3 C's interact with the 5 steps of a peacemaking project: choose, understand, plan, act, and reflect. We heard the real-life examples of the peacemaking steps from Babatunde and Matthew, and we ended with an exploration of the peacemaking toolkit. Ideally, by now you understand that Peace First asks young people to think about injustices in their community and devise compassionate solutions to those injustices. Now, we ask you to spend some time doing the same thing. To put all of the information you received in this lesson to work, we ask you to now create a Peace First profile. Start taking steps similar to the steps the youth you work with will take. After you make a profile, look around the website, explore projects, watch more videos, and immerse yourself in the Peace First Challenge. In addition to making a profile and exploring the Peace First community, participate in this lesson's discussion activities. Add your introduction to the introduction page, explore the issues and assets in your community, and use those issues and assets to guide you in choosing an injustice. A quick resource reminder: all tools and their associated handouts and worksheets are available in this course and on the Peace First website. Have questions about this lesson or the Peace First Challenge? Reach out to a member of the Peace First team at pfchallenge@peacefirst.org.